Welcome back to my channel, the ultimate destination for uncovering the hidden treasures and incredible stories behind the coins in your pocket, in your old jars, or perhaps sitting unnoticed in your collection. So grab your magnifying glasses, hold your coins tight, and let's dive into the surprising world of the 1960 Lincoln penny in dirty condition and the remarkable 1970 to no mint mark Lincoln penny in fine condition. These are the top two Lincoln penny 1-cent coins you should know about, starting with a piece of copper that could be hiding a rare error, a story of U.S. mint history, and maybe even a few extra dollars in your pocket. The 1960 Lincoln penny with the Denver mint mark, especially when found in dirty or heavily circulated condition, might not catch the eye immediately. It's easy to overlook it after all. This was a coin produced in massive numbers, blending into the copper sea of change for most Americans during the mid-20th century. But the 1960 Lincoln cent holds a unique place in numismatic history. It was the year of a transition, the battle between two versions of the same coin, the small date and the large date varieties. While both date styles exist for the 1960 and 1960 pennies, the Denver mint is where collectors focus their attention most intensely. In 1960, the United States Mint made a subtle change in the size of the date numerals on the Lincoln cent. Initially, the coins featured what is now called the small date, where the numerals are shorter and more compact. However, mid-year, the mint switched to a large date style, featuring taller, bolder numerals. This change wasn't widely publicized at the time, and the public continued using the coins without knowing anything had shifted. It's only years later that collectors realized the significance of this change, particularly with the 1960 issues. What makes the 1960 Lincoln penny truly interesting is the rarity of the small date variety from the Denver mint. While small and large date varieties exist for both Philadelphia and Denver coins, the small date from Denver is considerably harder to find. And here's the twist: even dirty or heavily circulated examples can be valuable. The small date 1960 is a sleeper hit in the numismatic world because so many people don't bother checking their older pennies, especially if they look corroded or grimy. But a dirty coin might still show the critical features that make it a small date, and in the right collector's hands, that dirty little cent could bring in a tidy sum. Design-wise, the 1960 penny continues the classic Abraham Lincoln profile by Victor David Brenner, a design that had already been in use since 1909. The reverse of the coin still featured the wheat ears design up to 1958, but by 1960, the memorial reverse, introduced in 1959, was in full swing. This design by Frank Gasparo shows the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C., with the word United States of America above and 1 cent below, flanked by E pluribus unum. Lincoln's statue is faintly visible between the columns on the reverse, a detail that many don't notice unless they look closely. As for mintage, the 1960 Lincoln cent was struck in large numbers, over 1.5 billion coins, to be exact. But within that vast number, the small date variety is estimated to be only a tiny fraction. Estimates vary, but the small date 1960 might represent just a few percent of the total mintage. And because no one was paying close attention when they first entered circulation, most were spent and used, meaning pristine examples are very rare today. In dirty condition, the value of a 1960 Lincoln penny mostly depends on whether it is the small or large date. A large date in worn or grimy condition will usually only fetch face value, unless it has a striking error or some unusual quality. But a dirty small date, that's another story. Even in circulated condition, the small date 1960 can be worth anywhere from $3 to $20, depending on its grade and level of detail visible. Cleaner examples in uncirculated condition can climb much higher, sometimes exceeding $100, especially if certified by a major grading service. But the real mystery lies in what's hiding in change jars, couch cushions, or inherited penny rolls. Dirty coins may conceal their identity, but to a trained collector's eye, they can still reveal valuable secrets. Another aspect that fuels the collector interest in this coin is its errors. While major varieties like double dies are not prominently associated with the 1960, there are several examples of repunched mint marks or pennies that make this coin desirable. A repunched mint mark occurs when the D mint mark is stamped more than once in slightly different positions. These are more common in earlier minting eras, but 1960 has its fair share. Dirty condition can make these pennies harder to spot, but under magnification, they might still be discernible, and that's where the excitement lies. You might be holding what looks like a common coin, but with the right magnifier and patience, you could uncover a rare error that collectors would love to add to their sets. Collectors continue to hunt for the 1960D small date penny because it completes a critical gap in Lincoln Cent date-style collections. The desire to assemble complete runs of both large and small dates from both mints keeps this particular coin in high demand. And since the small date is often harder to identify in worn condition, there's an ongoing thrill in checking every 1960D that comes your way, especially those that look dirty or overlooked. These coins serve as reminders that not all treasures shine on the surface, and sometimes the most valuable finds are the ones you almost threw away. The 1970 to Lincoln penny without a mint mark, indicating that it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, is another copper cent with a hidden legacy that surprises collectors to this day. Although the coin is seemingly commonplace after all, nearly 2.9 billion of them were struck, it has earned its place in numismatic history primarily because of one of the most famous double die errors in U.S. coinage, the 1970 to double die obverse. But let's start with the basics. By 1972, the Lincoln Memorial reverse had been in use for over a decade, and the penny was still made primarily from 95% copper and 5% zinc. The design remained faithful to the original profile of Abraham Lincoln by Victor David Brenner on the obverse and Frank Gasparo's rendition of the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. This year didn't see a major design change, but it would soon become iconic among collectors thanks to one critical minting anomaly. The star of the 1970 to penny series is the major double die obverse, commonly referred to as DDO. This error occurred when the working die used to strike the coin's design was imprinted twice with slight misalignment during its creation. As a result, the doubling is visible to the naked eye on the words Liberty, In God We Trust, and the date 1972. This isn't minor doubling, you need a loop to see this is bold, clear doubling that jumps out, even in fine condition. That's why it became so famous and sought after. There are several varieties of double dies for the 1970 to Lincoln penny, but the most famous and valuable is known as FS101. Coins with this strong doubling can sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars, depending on their condition. Even in circulated fine condition, a genuine 1970 to double die penny can command $100 to $400, and higher grades can skyrocket well past $1,000. Now, not every 1970 to no mint mark penny is a double die, of course. The vast majority are normal strikes worth only face value in worn condition, but this is where the excitement comes in. Because these coins are still widely circulated, and because so many were minted, there's always a chance that a 1970 to penny in your possession could be the rare double die version. Coins in fine condition are particularly intriguing because they're not too worn to obscure the doubling, but still common enough to turn up in rolls, jars, or coin shows. The overall mintage for the 1970 to Philadelphia Lincoln penny stands at a staggering 2,933,255,000 coins. This number makes it one of the most common Lincoln cents of the era. However, it's precisely because there are so many that people overlook them. Most aren't carefully examined, and many collectors, especially beginners, don't know what to look for. Yet, finding a double die among them is like finding a needle in a haystack that's actually worth the hunt. Beyond the major double die, there are also minor die varieties, including lesser double dies and repunched mint marks from the Denver and San Francisco mints. But since we're focusing on the no mint mark, 1970 descent from Philadelphia, our key concern is that bold obverse doubling. Collectors are always on the hunt for this coin because of the dramatic visual appeal of the doubling. It stands as a centerpiece in any Lincoln cent variety collection. Unlike some other double dies that require microscopic inspection, the 1970 to DDO is dramatic and unmistakable. This makes it a perfect example for teaching newcomers about die errors and minting processes. It also adds to its popularity and value. Every collector wants a strong visual variety, and this one delivers. Even without the double die error, the 1970 to Lincoln penny in fine condition holds modest collector interest due to its copper composition and its place in the long-running Lincoln Memorial series. As the years go on and fewer copper coins remain in circulation, even regular examples from this era may rise slightly in value. But it's the potential for discovery that really fuels the excitement. A coin you've had for years might hold a valuable secret, waiting for the right collector's eyes to spot it. Both the 1960D in dirty condition and the 1970 to no mint mark penny in fine condition serve as perfect reminders that value isn't always about pristine looks. Sometimes, the coin that's been sitting in a jar, tarnished and forgotten, or a common-looking penny in an old folder can hold rare traits that transform it into a sought-after prize. Whether it's a small date variety or a dramatic doubled die, these coins embody the thrill of numismatics hunting through the ordinary to uncover the extraordinary. Thanks for watching Coins Numismatic series. Make sure to subscribe for more deep dives into hidden gems, valuable errors, and the fascinating history behind America's change. Keep searching and happy collecting.